Welcome to Timber&Terra. I'm Glenn, and welcome to this episode of A Road in a Field, a road to nowhere. For now, it ends where the bulldozer is. But I have an objective for this video. We will complete something on this road, which is finish the rough grading on the edge, the field, from where the excavator is all the way down to the end. So I have piles from where that is, probably at least some over to right here, that I have extra topsoil that I'm going to be loading into my trailer. I have a topsoil pile just to the right of the excavator. You might be able to see just a bit of it there. That's where I'm sort of stockpiling the topsoil for use later somewhere. And the rest of it I should be able to just grade in to fill in the existing spots that need a little bit of fill to meet up nicely with the road. A couple other things that may happen during this video. I'm getting a quote from the power company. I need to provide power from that pole along sort of the edge of the wooded area there behind the bulldozer, 980 feet to right about there on the edge of the wood line. With primary power. I'll summarize what he says after that's done. It'll either be probably a single pole that will bring the power to right there, that little ash tree, and then bury it primary underground to a vault that'll contain the transformer, or I may just go underground all the way. I'll see what he says for a cost comparison. Obviously I'll dig my own ditch, but I have to pay for all the materials. So the reason for one pole is for right there, if I had a pole there, sort of the view from where a cabin or a small house would be anywhere up there, you would sort of see over that pole there. So that wouldn't be much of an issue as far as blocking the view. But if I went another pole, which would be another 300 feet to about there, that would interrupt the view. Or at least you'd see a pole and wire, and I just don't want to see that if I don't have to. So the third thing that may happen during this video is I should have some gravel delivered today. I sort of left it up in the air if the guy had some time to deliver it. If not, it's not the end of the world. I'll just catch him another day. I have gravel that basically ends just beyond where the power line crosses the road, and from there to where we are and the rest of the road, he's going to tailgate spread it, and then I'll just touch it up with my box blade. So for now, I'm gonna just keep loading out topsoil into my dump trailer. I took the tailgate off my dump trailer. I really don't gain any additional volume with sod or topsoil by having the tailgate on, because I can pretty much have a pretty steep angle on the back. The tailgate only goes up to here anyhow. Very little falls out. If I'm careful loading it, I can probably load just as much without a tailgate as I can with it. The other thing before we leave this area that I thought would be worth pointing out is the difference between the bulldozer spreading topsoil and my excavator. You can see here, this is all spread with the bulldozer. You can make out some of the tracks. We did have about an inch of rain in the last 24 hours, so that sort of dampened the tracks a bit as far as being able to see them. But you can see it's rather rough. Over on this side, from where the dirt is there all the way to where the excavator is, I leveled it out with the excavator blade and sort of tracked it in with those tracks. And you can see here it's much more smooth. The tracks here are like a three, I'm not sure what they call them, a three grouser or a three blade, I'm not sure. There's three of those things on each grouser, as opposed to the bulldozer, which has one, which is very deep. These are rather shallow, so they just do a better job packing, riding back and forth. And the tracks are pretty wide compared to the weight of that machine versus the bulldozer. Anyhow, it just does a better job, but it is slow as death. I would not want to do the entire thing with the excavator. That would be very boring and very tedious. So before I get too carried away with carrying away too much material, I'm going to spread this out because there's quite a gap there that I want to fill in, because I don't want to have to either push a bunch of material from over there or, heaven forbid, have to take some of the topsoil back that I'm carrying down there. So I'm just going to take the excavator, smooth this out, make it so it's easily mowable. It's sort of a good looking transition from the road surface to the existing field down there, and fill in a bunch of this area here. Well, the engineer from the electric company, you can see there in the blue truck, just left. So we reviewed the project. We agreed it was probably best just to go underground the whole way. So we'll go from that pole. There'll be a vault at the bottom of that pole. There is over 600 feet, so they require a vault about every 500 feet. He said for pulling the primary wire longer than that, it just is too much stress on the wire, so they sort of limit their pulls 500 to 600 feet. So it's about 1,000 feet from the pole to where the termination will be for the transformer to then go to the house or dwelling. So there'll be a midpoint transformer right around here somewhere. They like to have it about 10 feet or so away from the road or less, just for easy access. And the transformer with the final volt will be just behind the excavator. I'm sorry, behind the bulldozer up there. So as far as grading out this, I'm in a good spot here. There's a bit of a hump here, but it's low right there. So before I sort of pick up shop here and move to the other side of that culvert, I think I'll scrape some of this here and push it up there near that little pile of rocks, and right here where it's a bit low. I know you can't see that great on camera, but so that's what I'll do. The other thing is I have some finish work to do around here. I think what I'll do is use some of these rocks, place them here so I can have a bit of a rock wall, and then bring the mowable grass up to about here and sort of slope it down. You can see the field is still running from the inch of rain that we had in the last day. So I'll have to wait for this to dry up before I do much in the way of work down here. It'll be a bit of a muddy mess. See the water running down there and then into the wetlands, into the swamp. Alright, so I'll finish up this side and we'll meet up again when I tackle this side, and at some point I'll stop taking material away and just get the bulldozer out and then finish grading the rest of this road. So I don't think I need to take away as much material over there as I did on this side from here to that other pile of rocks. So I think that smoothed out pretty good, or pretty well, I guess is the right terminology. So I have some finish work to do around there when it dries up. You can see the puddles there where I tracked in, still quite a bit of water flowing. So before I hit this side, I wanted to mention something that's been really helpful to me this year. I have a video on it, but I built these rock guards which bolt on here. It's a half inch, I think it's ½ inch or 3/8. It's 3/8 thick angle iron I used here. But this has really been a I hate the term, but it's the only one I can think of, a game changer for me, particularly working on the slopes. But even without slopes, I would throw tracks 3 or 4 times a summer with this thing. I made these at the beginning of last year. They're on the inside too. Looking for damage. That one there might be bent out a little bit. But boy, they've really held up well. And no thrown tracks since I've put these on. And you know, working on these slopes here, I probably couldn't have done it. I would have had to have gone straight up and down and not try to be on a slope going sort of across the slope, putting the weight of the excavator you know, on the rollers and on these rock guards. So they're called rock guards, but for me really it's just a track retainer. I mean, I'm not too worried about rocks getting in there, but it does work wonders for me. So I'm very happy. That's probably the single biggest improvement I made to this excavator since I've owned it. All right, so I'll start out here. Probably just use the bucket to sort of get an idea of how much of this windrow I'm going to need to smooth out and fill in that little gap there. And then once I have an idea of that, then I'll take the excess. I'm guessing it's really just going to be another 3 or 4 loads back behind the bulldozer. And then I'll take the bulldozer out and sort of finish off this section of road on this side. Well, it's coming along. The video's not done, but my day is done. Like I said, I'm not going to end this video until this is all done. So I've not been recorded everything. It sort of gets repetitive and boring. I do have a fair amount here that I want to put here. You can see there's really not much grass, a little bit of rocks, almost gravelly, which is interesting because I have found some veins of gravel here, which is abnormal. I've never seen that anywhere else on my property here. So some of that I want to fill this. I stole some topsoil to fill in some bush roots that I pulled out of the field. So that's why this is barren. So there's a little bit here that I'll fill in. But I'm done for the day. I'm unsure if I'm going to use my dozer or not. I just don't know. This is working well. Granted, it's slow, but it leaves a really nice finish. Basically almost ready for just seed or just let it grow up and mow. So I'll have to give that some thought. I do have a bit more pushing over here, so that might be more effective with the bulldozer than the excavator blade. I don't know, but at least I have the night to think about it. Looks like we have rain for the next couple days. Not sure when that's going to start, say tomorrow. So I may be out tomorrow, maybe out here in a couple days, but we'll be back soon. Well, it is a new day, about a week later. And boy, it's another beauty. Dry, cool. Anyhow, so my next step here is to take care of all this topsoil. The last bit of this topsoil I need to spread on the rotor, though I did sort of forget about that pile right there. There's a rock to the right, but to the left is just a mound of topsoil. And unfortunately, I took my dump trailer off and put on my box blade to spread out some gravel. So I will wait to move that last pile until later. I may end up with some extra here too at the same time, but the first order of business is to remove these little trees. So the little clump there and the bunch of trees here, they're sort of children of these larger quaking aspen or poplar, which I probably will take these down. They do interrupt the view of the mountains from the house site, which will be up there somewhere. And then once I take these trees down, then I'll take the dozer and I will spread all this around. I have a little bit of topsoil that I stole just beyond the little bunch of trees to fill in some root balls that I took up of some bushes that have grown here probably for the last 15, 20 years or more. So I'm thinking that with the topsoil I have here, I can easily sort of spread and waste that and make this the grade look good and fill in that little bit of topsoil, as well as that little bit of a low spot between the topsoil windrow and the road base to the right. So while the dozer warms up, I'll just review what I did. You saw me take down most of these trees. There was actually a big one there, some others that I took down off camera. So I'll probably push that brush with the blade off just sort of into the woods. It actually goes down quite a steep bank, and so any of the trees I remove there would just be with a chainsaw. I'll leave the stumps. It's not going to be field or mowable grass or anything. The other thing I did is right along here, the last thing I did last year was this end of the road. It was getting really muddy, so I wasn't really able to spread the clay very well, so a lot of it sort of squished off to the right. So now that it's you know, sort of dried up over the winter and now into the summer, I just sort of moved it back in to reestablish. I'm looking for at least a 12-foot wide base, so then separated out the topsoil. So there's not a lot of topsoil up here. I'll probably just make a pass through here, but most of the topsoil for up there is probably going to come from right here, and then the rest of it I'll just sort of sculpt as I go and just sort of make it look nice and mowable. So for the most part, that area there that I'd stolen the topsoil from is filled back in again. It's still a bit of a dip, which I think was natural to begin with. We'll just see. I'd really like to just waste all this and not stockpile any more of it. But if there's a lot, I'll do that. So now I'll just turn my attention to flattening this out and then sculpting the rest of this basically from where we are all the way to the end of the road there. And see how it goes. It is hard to make look good, to smooth out with wet, clumpy topsoil, but doing the best we can. It dries out. Maybe I'll go back over it again, and or I may try my box blade after it dries out some, if it dries out some. So far this summer has been wet. Well, I think for the most part that defines the end of this phase. So both sides of the roads are really just sort of really rough graded as far as the topsoil. This is going to have to dry out before I can spread it better. And even then, the clumps will provide a little bit of a challenge, but it shouldn't be too bad. It's really just muddy. It's a clay-based topsoil, so it is very moldable, malleable, squishy, but it doesn't spread the best. But it's fine. So this is a real flat area here, then it dips there. I mean, it's just typical of this area, just constant rolling hills. Very seldom do you see a real flat piece of land unless it was made that way. So I'm happy with how it turned out. You can see the entire road now. No more windrows except that little sore thumb that I forgot about. But what I might actually do is, I still would probably trailer it, is bring that and just over here. Because I think this can be a little bit better to blend in with the hill that comes up this way. It's some sort of an abrupt corner and then it flattens out, which doesn't look as well. It may not mow as easily. But anyhow, finally, I got to a place where I can say I've made some significant accomplishment finally this year, after how many hours of work. Thanks for tagging along. I appreciate you watching. Hope to see you again soon.